Turkish Foreign Policy, Part 2. Since the President is elected by the popular vote and accountable to the public, civil society will thus be able to influence his decisions. Effective foreign policy. A successful foreign policy needs long-term goals and strategies. In the past, short-lived coalition governments in Turkey, averaging around 1 year under the parliamentary system, were far from establishing long-term foreign policy goals. In the parliamentary system, the government remains under the pressure of legislative branch when crafting foreign policy. A Minister of Foreign Affairs can face removal from his office with a vote of no confidence due to political infighting. As a result, the power of executive branch is weakened and the vulnerability of the foreign policy making is under pressure and increases so forth. The new president system, as Turkey has adopted the presidential system of the government with an uninterrupted 5-year span, preventing the constant change in the formulation of the foreign policy strategies, has given a chance to develop the long-term goals of the foreign policy in Turkey. Another part of the debate is the elimination of ambiguity about which branch of the state has the final authority to conduct foreign policy decisions. The current system, where two heads of state have equal legitimacy, leads to confusion of the authority. Within the foreign relations structures of the country, both President and the Prime Minister have the authority to represent the nation in foreign affairs and have signing authority for international agreements. Clearly, this constitutes a conflict in representation and is open to misuse. Turkish political history saw several disagreements between the President and the Prime Minister. In the 1990s, for example, the policies of President Turgut Özal and the Prime Minister Yildirim Akbulut on the Gulf War conflicted, leading to the friction between two leaders. In the same vein, President Özal and Prime Minister Süleyman Demirel even argued over who would participate in the 1992 BSEC summit. The proposed constitutional amendments will abolish the system of dual authority, thus resolving the issue. The elimination of dual authority will also serve another purpose: a stronger representation in the international scene. The parliamentary system, which only grants symbolic power to the president, does not satisfy the catering of a strong and steady image. The presidential system also gives the small group model a chance to function in times of crisis. This model points out the need for the decisiveness of the directions and rapidness in the foreign policy making and proper management of the flow of information from top to bottom in an extraordinary situation. We see the best practice of the small group model in the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. President Kennedy dealt with the crisis in a commendable fashion and exemplified the effectiveness of the practicability and the practicality of this model. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Congress majority of the bureaucrats and the military commanders of all called on the US administration to adopt a much more aggressive approach in dealing with the Soviets. A comprehensive military action, airstrikes, and even a nuclear strike were the options on the table. and a possible nuclear war could have destroyed the world. In order to overcome groupthink and avoid a war, President Kennedy created an executive committee of the National Security Council of Excoms consisting of the National Security Council and Kennedy's advisors and bureaucrats, and through closed meetings where members could discuss the issue freely, ExCom managed to steer the US from military action against the Soviets and prevent a possible nuclear war. Certainly, it was a successful policy adopted by John F. Kennedy, then the US